Okay, I took a potty break and I lit my fireplace. My fireplace. It's getting cold. We're in fall now. All right, where was I? I think I did 21 that left wing positive view follows right. Okay, I already did that one. 22. God, how long is this thing? 22. AOC is not a Democrat. AOC ran for office as a Democrat, but she's made it clear repeatedly that she, by the way, as an editor, I would have said repeatedly clear, but that's just me, that she does not identify as a Democrat, nor does she share Democratic values. Let's count up some of the ways she's made that point clear. I don't think that's really important, and let me explain why. Bernie's call was for us to enter and reform the party. So there's a lot of people who have been entering the party, and this happened before Bernie. Because I know I now, based on volunteering for 5 years, I have now met people who have actually been, oh, God damn, my phone is the worst. Sorry. It won't, it keeps doing it. I don't know why it's doing that. I have now, based on my 5 years of volunteerism, met several people who have been doing politics for over a decade, long before Bernie was running for president, who have been delegates, who have held leadership roles in the party, who still don't totally identify as being Democrats. And it has to do with this leftist values of not wanting to have the label, not wanting to be connected to the corporation, the corporate aspects that have been included in the party, and being involved more as we're going to be here to hold you accountable and make sure that your processes are transparent, that so there are actually, I get both sides of this argument, quite frankly. There are a lot of people who do not want to identify as being Democrats while still participating in Democratic Party politics, because they know that it's the most effective organizing body for us to get leftist ideas advanced. But at the same time, they're so pissed off at the way it's been operating that they don't want to be connected to the label of it. On the flip side of that, it's about messaging to the voting public, the people who don't pay attention, the people who are just picking up their ballot and voting. If they're constantly hearing negative messaging about the Democratic Party, then they're not going to want to vote for Democratic candidates, regardless if you're progressive or not. They're not going to want to pick up their ballot and vote for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Cory Bush if they already have such a negative view of what the Democratic Party is. So despite our best efforts of trying to get in and make changes and take DNC seats and everything else, if you're constantly bashing the Democratic Party, you're not going to get people to vote your candidates in the first place. So I understand both arguments here. You can't constantly bash the party that you're trying to change. So I do understand that. But I don't think Alex has really done that much. I think that she has just tried to appeal to the progressive base. You know, and those jackasses of the Movement for the People's Party, the Steiners, the Jimmy Dores, the Convo Couch, y'all are not helping this situation at all. It's very difficult for us to elect progressive Democrats if you're constantly telling people not to vote for Democrats. If this is the best way we can get them into Congress, fucking work with us, please. All right. Fuck's sake. 23. Traps for unwary Democrats. The GOP and Russia are openly working to undermine the Democratic Party And fake progressives like AOC and the Justice Democrats are serving as a fifth column undermining the party from within. Let's look at the traps they're setting for us. I disagree with you here. The Squad are not fake progressives. They've actually been really strong for us in the sense that they have worked with leadership where necessary, and they have also done the same performative bullshit that every other politician does on the congressional floor. Because, you know, a lot of this stuff is drama. A lot of this stuff is like pre-written speeches and having dramatic moments. What Alex Ocasio-Cortez does is no different than what Katie Porter does with her whiteboard. It's the same stuff. And if they are able to articulate strong arguments on the floor to help us advance progressive policy, then that's what we need them to do. But the Squad has not been difficult in regards to working with the Democratic Party. They have worked with you. They've pressured you, sure, they've pressured you, but they did not go with Jimmy Dore's fucking crackpot force the vote plan, okay? So this is, again, some stupidity. The Squad are anti-Israel puppets. Oh, for fuck's sake, you guys. Waleed Shahid and Max Berger are using the Squad as anti-Israel puppets. Waleed Shahid and Max Berger are the thought leaders of the Justice Democrats and are using the Squad to achieve their long-standing goal of ending what they call the occupation of Palestine. A lot of it, you know what? The thing is, this was published on June 8th, this particular tweet. we just have like a meltdown where we even had corporate media on board with us that, yeah, we can't. And by the way, I think pretty much all of them did vote in favor of the reconciliation bill, or they intend to, because Bernie was able to negotiate some humanitarian aid in for Palestine, even despite the fact that they put in the Iron Dome, which is the money that they're going to give to Israel for weapons. Give me a goddamn break. Stop demonizing these people, please. They do know how to negotiate. They know how to negotiate, and it sucks. I would hate to be in Congress, man. I would hate to have to be in that position where you actually have to vote in favor of arms weapons to Israel. Fuck's sake. But at the same time, I have a lot of Jewish friends. I have heard the complaints that, you know, pretty much every neighboring country wants them dead. And so they've got to have some level of defense. And from what I know from my work history, they do share, Israel shares technology with the US, and that's how we have the trade, basically. The money that we send to them, the money and weapons that we send to them, is in exchange for the security technology that they send to us. So like, it's not like we're just giving them money. There's an exchange there. We have a relationship. That being said, Bernie did negotiate in humanitarian aid for Palestinians into the bill. It's not enough, but it's something. Okay. Lord, how long is this damn thing? 25, Data for Progress is a propaganda outlet for AOC and Justice Democrats. Data for Progress. I've never heard of this before. Kind of sounds like California for Progress, doesn't it? It does, doesn't it? Data for Progress. What is this? Data for Progress polls are biased and unreliable. Data for Progress produces highly biased polls to support progressive causes, particularly those being pushed by AOC and Justice Democrats. The recent poll on the popularity of the Green New Deal is a perfect example. Okay, look, I've never fucking seen any of their polls. So I don't know. I've not seen any of their polls, but I do work in the field and I do work amongst tons of activists. And I can tell you that the one thing that pretty much everybody has in common is protecting the environment. Even Republicans are fucking on board with that. At least, the Republican voting base. So I don't know what for fuck's sake, this is definitely like IPAC or something. God damn. Okay. Waleed Shahid of Justice Democrats has a hidden connection to the Tea Party movement. Missing link, the connection between the Justice Democrats and the Tea Party. It's clear that AOC's Justice Democrats organization emulates the Tea Party movement, but there has never been a direct link between Justice Democrats and the Tea Party movement until now. Okay. Maybe there is. Like I said, Indivisible literally took their training materials. Indivisible literally did exactly the same thing. They took Tea Party training material. They even they're honest about it. They're like upfront and honest that they got it there. Well, I don't know why you're spending so much time focusing on AOC and Justice Democrats when you should be focusing on Our Revolution and the California Progressive Caucus. I don't see that those Justice Democrats, I've never participated with them because it didn't seem to me like they were really doing much for their candidates to begin with. And again, I didn't volunteer for them. It seems to me, I think the point that I think what they are missing in this is that these groups are endorsement rackets. And I've said that before. I've done live streams about that before. These groups are endorsement rackets. It's not necessarily that they provide solid resources. Some of them do. PDA has a pretty good phone banking operation. Our Revolution doesn't. I don't think Justice Democrats has a good phone banking operation from what I've heard. So if you don't actually have field operations or phone banking operations or text banking operations or whatever, then that you're not even close to what the Tea Party is. Oh, for fuck's sake, with my goddamn phone sucks. All right. I don't care. I don't care if they emulated the Tea Party. I think a lot of groups, a lot of political groups on the left, including Hillary and her people, were all looking at the Tea Party and figuring out, like, how do you take the lessons from the Tea Party and implement it. All right. Oh, I think I finally fucking reached the end, you guys. I think I finally reached the end. Number 27, Sunrise was formed to support Justice Democrats, and both groups covered it up and lied about it. Sunrise was covertly formed to support Justice Democrats. Sunrise and Justice Democrats claim to have no relationship before collaborating on elaborate protests against Nancy Pelosi in November 2018. In reality, they were covertly working together from the start. Okay, so let me, I'll give you some more knowledge. I'll drop a little bit more knowledge on that one. I don't think that's accurate. I do not think that's accurate. And let me tell you why. So when Sunrise Movement came out, sure, Alex was involved, but in that protest. She was involved in that protest, and that's probably why they take umbrage to her being involved in that particular protest. And they're drawing this conclusion, probably, right? But from what I know of the local activists I know who participate in Sunrise or have in the past, they were far more connected to March for Our Lives, which is generally accepted as more of an establishment progressive group. because it's Emma Gonzalez and David Hogue. Sunrise Movement is more of an offshoot of like March for Our Lives, and Students for City Council is another one of those offshoots from that organization. You guys are giving Justice Democrats way too much fucking credit. Justice Democrats just jumps on board with bullshit. They have not had that much influence. They actually, from what I can tell, they operate pretty much independently. Now, every one of these progressive groups does try and do coalitions, but Justice Democrats, I think, has actually done the best at trying to retain their own identity. Whereas you look at groups like PDA and Our Revolution and the California Progressive Alliance and some of those groups, they've all almost entirely assimilated. And it becomes really challenging because you have so many crossovers of who is actually leading those organizations or has massive influence into those organizations that, and that's happening with Sunrise in California too, Sunrise Movement in California. That I think that they missed the mark on this particular hit thread. They got some of the details, but they're not deep enough in to actually know where the real problems are and how it all connects. And so they also inserted a bunch of Hillary bias into that thread. Now, it hit on some topics that are problems, but it inserted way too much Hillary bias into that it makes it something that I cannot share on Twitter because it's unreliable. It's unreliable. But I have now covered it, and I will put these 3 videos on YouTube, and I will share the link to the Twitter on my YouTube videos. But in regards to me actually retweeting that thread, I can't retweet that thread. Because, first of all, it looks like it was written by IPAC. And it's way biased. And it's way corporate. And it dismisses some serious concerns. And then it only hits the mark maybe 50% of the time. It's only about like 50% of the time. And also because they're missing the information they need, they're leaving out some of the more important aspects of what the real problems are. Like, there is nothing about the live stream network. There is nothing about the network of YouTubers. There is nothing in there about it. They really don't provide, they don't have enough knowledge to actually, like, what they're dropping. Some of it was interesting, though. Some of it was kind of interesting, if true. But, and it's close. It's close. It's close to the truth, but it's not really the truth. And so for that reason, I can't do much with it other than the fact that I analyzed it for you.